us today. We also, you can just click through, there's 4 days. If you want to develop your ability to see complexity, but also explain with simplicity, meaning write and speak clearly. We do a lot of that in history. Do you want to be able to articulate arguments that extend beyond yourself, also taking into account your own perspective on the world? And do you just generally want to learn more about the world around you? Take more history. Okay, so our electives for next year, I've got these sorted, and just a reminder, you have access to these slides. There's a lot of text on them. We have the urban electives in blue, economics, queer theater history, and U.S. foreign policy. The UAS electives, Asian American history, con law, history of South Asia, modern Middle East, race in Latin America, U.S. environmental history, and women's U.S. history. So, just a note about what we think of when we decide whether an elective is UAS or not, and so something what you should be taking into consideration as you decide what to sign up for. I think the most important thing is what's highlighted up here, that UAS history classes tackle complex topics that require a significant level of independent intellectual investigation on the part of students. So if you are signing up for UAS history class, you're expecting to do a lot of intellectual work on your own, whether that means reading challenging texts and trying to make sense of them and then building on that in class, or coming up with original arguments in more sophisticated paper topics. There's a range of ways in which that can show up, but the independent intellectual engagement is really what we think about. So in terms of choosing, it might be helpful to think about some categories here. There are other ways, obviously, to think about choosing, but you can think about, are you interested in world history? Are you interested in topics that are kind of less traditionally, like they're not really history, they're related things? Or do you want to dive deeper into aspects of U.S. history that we were maybe able to touch on, but not really go into that deeply in making and remaking? So, read the course descriptions, read the course descriptions, read the course descriptions. Sign up for what you're genuinely interested in. And of course, you're always welcome to talk to me, talk to any history teacher, whoever is your teacher now or was your teacher recently. You can also email me anytime you want. Happy to answer questions. Go history. Okay, thanks.
Hello, I'm Jocelyn. I'm the math chair. I'm going to talk about math courses for next year. Okay, so this is a map of all of the math courses that are offered at Urban. Some really key things on this map, which are not just talking to your neighbor, is looking at the arrows. The arrows indicate prerequisites for those courses. So for example, if you are interested in signing up for calculus, what is the class you have to take before calculus? Functions. Good job. Okay, we're reading the map. Okay, so if you are a rising junior, if you plan to take calculus your senior year, you must take functions your junior year. You cannot take functions and calculus within the same year. Also, notice, once you have finished Math 3, everyone has to take Math 3, so if you've not taken Math 3 already, you need to take Math 3 next year. After that, you get, I don't know if that is there a relation here we go, okay. There is a whole section of electives that are opened up for you. The green electives are our urban electives, and the orangish red are UAS electives. One thing to note again are the arrows to know what you need to take in advance. I'm not going to talk about every single course, but where can you find the descriptions for these courses? On the website. So please actually read the descriptions, because that is the best way to know what the class is about, not just the title. Another thing to note is we will be setting out recommendations. The math department has really thought carefully about what courses we think will be best to support you and challenge you in your study. So please take those recommendations to heart. For some of you, that means we may recommend any of the UAS and urban electives for next year. For others, it may mean that we recommend that you take AMA or Advanced Math Applications. We go one slide back. Before you take a UAS elective. AMA acts as a bridge between Math 3 and functions. We suggest that you take that. And for some of you, you may also get a recommendation to take the more accessible electives. Okay, next slide. All right, so these are all the courses offered next year. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you'll note that not all of the ones in that entire map are on this list. Next. Okay, this is important. For those of you, especially that are rising juniors, for you that are trying to plan ahead for what courses are being offered in the next 2 years. Next year, we are offering analytic geometry and data science. They will not be offered your senior year, which means if you want to take those courses, you must sign up for the next year. The following year, your senior year, will also be offering UAS space. And one thing to note that is a change from previous years is that starting next year, we're offering Infinity every year. So that's a change from before. You don't need to take it next year if you want to take that. All right, next. Okay, if you looked at that map and you were like, oh my gosh, there's not enough time to take all the amazing math courses we have at Urban, you might be interested in signing up for Summer Computer Science 1. That way you can take care of the prerequisite for data science and CS2 and following CS3 outside of your 12 classes in the school year. The deadline for this is anyone been reading their email? When is the deadline to sign up for this? Read your emails. Okay, March 28th, which is this Friday. So if you are interested in taking Summer Computer Science 1, the deadline is this Friday. You have to have completed Math 3 in order to qualify for this. All right, UAS math course is one thing I do want to make a note of that is really important. Do I have your attention? A UAS math class is not just about more work. It is talking about having a course that is much more rigorous and abstract. It requires a lot of independent study, and it also requires that you have mastered the skills from the core courses in Math 1 through 3. So not a lot of time during the class will be focused on review. You're going to be learning new topics, and you have to be comfortable with the pace of that and doing a lot more independent study on your own. So should you choose to sign up for a UAS course, you want to make sure that that is what you're prepared for. And, most importantly, if you are choosing to go against your recommendation, which means you are trying to sign up for a UAS math course, without the recommendation of the department, you must have a conversation with a math teacher. You're available during tutorial or after or before class, but you have to have a conversation with a teacher and know that even if you may be putting in extra work, you may not get the results that you want if you are going against that recommendation. So please make that consideration when you are choosing to do so. Okay. How did you decide? Again, descriptions. You can talk to people. We're happy to talk to you. Your math teachers know you, and we probably can make a recommendation for what kind of course will best suit you. So talk to us. Don't just decide right now in these 5 minutes by the title. That's not helpful. Okay. Actually, do the work to research, talk to people. I think I'm done.
And we're excited to be here today to talk about your choices for next year. Before we begin, one thing, very important thing to keep in mind is that we have a 3-year language requirement for graduation, and that is a factor that you should take into consideration in making your decision. That means that if you are finishing the level 3 this year, but this is only your 2nd year of languages at Urban, you will automatically be taking level 4 A and B to complete your graduation requirements. Okay? So take that into account. All of the courses in level 4, 5, and 6 in the World Languages programs are UAS, Urban Advanced Studies. We don't have non-UAS courses, and the goals are actually aligned with what you have been doing in levels 1, 2, and 3, the foundational and intermediate courses. But we're going to be pushing way much more in the quality of your reflection, using especially a strong focus on critical thinking, analytical thinking, interpretive thinking, and creative skills, creative thinking skills. Of course, we're going to be continuing working and focusing on improving your level of proficiency in the 4 areas: reading, listening, writing, and speaking, and interpersonal skills. But we put a strong focus on using what you have learned, polish it, and then take it to the next level so you can write, speak, debate, and reflect to an advanced level using the language, either Chinese, French, or Spanish. Those are the 3 programs that we offer. As you can see here, and I invite you to go and read in detail the descriptions of the different levels. For example, in level 4, UAS, these are the choices for the Chinese for A, language and cultural immersion in China, idiom phrases for French, littérature fantastique, with a component of creative writing. For B is colonial, post-colonial Africa, and in Spanish, you can see the immigration in the U.S., new identities in a globalized world, and 20th century Latin America. One is modernity. We function with essential questions, especially in the UAS. That kind of question is the one that articulates the choices of literature, text, film, the arts, and culture that we use in the design of the courses. For level 5, those are the choices in the 3 language programs. As you can see, they're all college preparatory courses. They're electives created with a focus, for example, in film, as you can see for Chinese, society, politics, philosophy, and culture. In French, for example, you can see the field of ideas that deals with the Enlightenment and the mouvement existentialiste. You will be reading Jean-Paul Sartre, a very important 20th century French philosopher. In Spanish, that connection, interdisciplinary connection between the arts, literature, culture, and history is prevalent. For those of you who are in 3A and 3B right now, you get a sense of that transition of using critical thinking in what we do. We just do it in Spanish, we just do it in French, or we just do it in Chinese. A few questions that students like you in the past have asked about this decision-making process. Do I need a college recommendation? Technically, no. I'm stuck in this slide, I think. Okay. You don't need technically a recommendation from your current teacher. Oh, it's working. But it is very important that you talk to your current teacher so that they can give you advice and guidance in your decision. In terms of, there you go. This is an important question. How important or prevalent is grammar in the UAS? Yes, we're going to be studying grammar, but that's not the whole point of it. Of course, a main goal, outcome of the UAS courses is for you to refine and to bring your knowledge and use of the tools of syntax, grammar, spelling, conjugation to the next level. But that's not the whole point. It's what you can do with what you get. Okay? 2 more to gain the 60 seconds. Can I only take 1 turn? It's complicated, it depends. Actually, yes and no. But come see me and we can go on particular cases if you have questions on this. And is it important to take a UAS in languages for college? Talk to your college advisor, counselor. But the answer is yes and no, but mostly yes. Remember that one of the missions of urban or languages programs is to prepare you for what's beyond urban, not only college. Okay, I think I'm finished. Any questions? Talk to your teachers or me. I'm always happy to answer any further questions.
Really brief because you are going to read course descriptions. That's the most important thing for you to figure out, or help you figure out what English classes you want to take next year. So the beautiful thing about English is that you get to take it for 4 years. What? I know. Also, there are no prerequisites. nonfiction where it has to do with writing. You do a lot of writing and creative nonfiction, and that's why that's a UAS class. Also, Shakespeare doesn't necessarily more pages, but it's reading that you might want to look over a little bit. It might be a little more or less straightforward, I suppose. Keep in mind we have great electives. They're all challenging, they're all going to be rigorous, and they're all going to be interesting. So really the most important thing to think about as you're choosing your English classes is what is interesting to you, and also what your schedule looks like beyond English, right? You don't need to be all things to all people. If you're leaning hard on UAS and math and science, maybe don't lean hard on UAS and English, or maybe do a mix, right? If you're super excited, you're interested in the topic, then go for it. I would say also a couple things that are really helpful to keep in mind. Go for variety, so some classes that are maybe more quote-unquote traditional or sort of classic in a literature sense, and then more that maybe are a little bit more unusual or different or unique to urban. We could probably switch it. Okay. The other thing that's really important for English is that our electives, I should look at you all, rotate. With the exception of Voices of Incarceration, which runs every year because it's a smaller amount of students, right? These will rotate out. So if you are super psyched to do British literature, think about where you want to rank it because it's going to rotate out for your senior year. Maybe you guys are too good, right? So our classes next year are Voices of Incarceration, The Naturalist as Writer, Poetry, Form, and Meaning, which includes writing poetry, but you'll figure that out because you're going to read the course descriptions. Immigrant Legacies, Creative Nonfiction, I mentioned is the one that's heaviest on writing. UAS British Literature, UAS Latin American Literature, Literature of Dystopian Sci-Fi, The Unconscious, Shakespeare, and Modern American Literature. So again, please do a deep dive into the course descriptions. We don't know who's teaching what. We want you to choose based on the subject, what's interesting to you, rather than who's teaching the class. Yeah, that's it. So again, similar to history, if there are people you want to revisit or topics you want to revisit, go for that. And also stretch yourself. Do something a little bit different. Don't be afraid of something new. Again, we really work hard on making these all interesting classes. So go with your gut. Read the course descriptions. Decide how you want to spend your time this year.
So in science, we offer our electives in 4 different categories. In physical sciences, we offer geology. Geology is a field-based class, and then we offer 2 advanced electives in physical science. One is advanced chemistry, that's a 2-term class. The other one is advanced physics. If you're interested in taking advanced physics, you need to take mechanics first. You have to start with mechanics, and then you can take 2 or 3 classes, like mechanics and then electricity and magnetism, mechanics, reads light, or all 3. As a prerequisite for advanced physics, you have to have completed Math 3. So that's one of the only classes that has that prerequisite. Sometimes I ask, like, is there an order to take if you're thinking of taking advanced Chem and advanced physics? Either order is great, whatever you're interested in, and that's kind of the thing. Take the classes that you're interested in. We also have electives in life science, so we have anatomy, neuroscience, and marine biology. Marine biology is another field class. You go out and study it in the field. And our 2 advanced electives in that are genetics and infectious disease. We have 2 environmental science electives. One is ecology. That is sort of more the biological side of environmental science. Then physical resources is more the material side. Like how do we generate energy? How do we use water? And then our 4th bucket of classes are urbanics classes. And these are really project-based, hands-on design. We test, we redo, we revise. We have 2 applied physics classes. One is motion and machine. The other one is electronics and robotics. So hopefully in that list there's classes that you are excited about. Again, we're planning ahead, particularly for rising juniors. Next year we'll offer geology. That will rotate out in your senior year, and then in your senior year you'll have the chance to take astronomy or material science. So just a heads up about planning. Another common question we have is, should you take an advanced science class? And there's a slide, this is in the video you all have access to, about what it means to take an advanced science class. But some of the things to have in mind. In general, our advanced classes build off of the core. So the core should feel really comfortable to you. You should feel like you have a really solid understanding of it. They typically move at a faster pace, and they're more conceptually challenging. For the able to think through things on your own. You don't need a ton of support from your teacher. And then finally, based on your work in the core, do kind of show that you're ready for the pace of an advanced class. And so our hope is that we're giving you a recommendation that will allow you to be successful in your science classes. We want you to have a great experience where you're challenged, you're stretched as a learner, but you're also finding success. If there's someone who's thinking about going against your recommendation, we really caution you against this because, as I think folks have said before, you might find yourself working really, really hard and not getting the grade or the result that you were hoping for. And so, if you're in that situation, you have to talk with a science teacher. We want you to get a sense of like, what might be challenging for you if you're going against your recommendation, and then you need a signature. So finally, kind of how should you decide? First, as you've heard, read the course descriptions. They tell you more information about each class. Think about what you're excited about, what you're interested in. Talk to your teachers, talk to your friends. I'd also really encourage you to think holistically, like what is your life in urban and outside urban look like to find balance where you want to invest your time. And then one last note, sometimes if you're somebody who's thinking about a selective engineering program and applying to that as part of your college process, some schools will expect advanced chemistry and advanced physics. I want to be really clear, there's more than one path to be an engineer. So if you're not ready for those classes in high school, take the classes you're excited about, build your science skills, and you can be an engineer absolutely in other ways. So that's kind of it.